Yo, what is up, guys? It's Pedro here. So in today's video, we'll be talking about the Washington Commanders re-signing edge rusher Jaylen Holmes, who I think had a really solid season for the Washington Commanders and has a chance to be a contributor. And also we'll be going over some things said in the Laremy Tunsil press conference. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well. Trying to hit 16K subscribers. It's free, takes 1 second, and I would really appreciate it. So we still not on the computer. I'll get back to that either if I post it again today or tomorrow, but back in the States, but just moving one more time before I'm good. But let's get right into it. So we'll start off with the Jaylen Holmes signing, and then we'll talk about the Laremy Tunsil press conference, which just happened. So Jaylen Holmes was a guy that they brought in late last year. It was right when the season started, or a little bit before the season started, but I'm pretty sure it was a few games into the season. And Jaylen Holmes, he had 2 sacks last year. I think he had a sack in the playoffs as well. Just overall, I thought he had a really good season for a backup edge guy. Also can play a little bit inside as well. And I know they did bring in a lot of guys, and some people might think, he doesn't have a chance to make the roster, but don't sleep on Jaylen Holmes. That's all I'm going to say. Don't sleep on him. They have better depth maybe this year, but I still think Jaylen Holmes has a shot to make this roster. I mean, you got Jacob Martin, who I'm pretty sure it's Jacob Martin, but I know last name is Martin from the Bears. He had a solid season last year, but again, Jaylen Holmes knows the system. He's, good with the teammates. He's got that chemistry, so he has the advantage there. And he didn't get a lot of PT and got 2 sacks and made some big plays, didn't really have any penalties, did what he was asked to do. During the early part of the season, Dan Quinn started praising him and saying, this guy is really doing well in practice, and no one really knew who he was. No one was really talking about him. And then he started to play and he started to, contribute in these games. So Jaylen Holmes, I'm happy he's back. The Commanders are bringing back a lot of guys. Yeah, they lost some, but they had a lot of free agents. The guys that they lost, you got Jeremy Chin to the Raiders. You got De'Ami Brown to the Jaguars. You got Zacchaeus. Those are the main guys. I'm trying to think of any other guy. Like Benjamin St. Juste signed. Derek Forrest signed. But not a bunch of big names. But they did lose some contributors. Zacchaeus and Jeremy Chin, I would say, are the biggest ones so far. But, they brought in a lot of guys too. They traded for Laremy Tunsil, who we'll talk about in a minute or so. They traded for Deebo Samuel. They brought in Kinlaw. They brought in Will Harris, who I like. They brought in some others. Nate Herbig, guard from the Steelers, also played with the Eagles. So they brought in a bunch of guys, and I do like what they're doing. The media likes what they're doing. It's just some of the Commanders fans don't love it, and I understand part of it. The edge rusher position still needs work in terms of the starter. The guy opposite of Dorrance Armstrong. They need some help there, but we'll see what they do. Trey Hendrickson, I know the Bengals just paid Higgins and Chase. I still don't see that happening. I just don't think they're going to give up a day 2 pick for Trey Hendrickson and then have to pay him a bunch of money. So for me, it's a no on Trey Hendrickson for now. If they have to get, trade him for less than a second, maybe a 3rd round pick, then we can maybe change tunes a little bit. But right now, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for the Commanders, to pay Hendrickson, trade for him when they don't have a lot of, trade capital right now. Not that they don't have a lot of, they don't have any cap space, but they don't have a lot of cap space after trading for Tunsil, signing Kinlaw, and re-signing a lot of the guys. So for me, I just don't think it makes a lot of sense to re-sign Trey Hendrickson, or not re-sign, to trade for Trey Hendrickson. Maybe you go for a cheaper option like Azeez Ojulari, who, is around the same age as Dorrance Armstrong and has a chance to, maybe develop a little bit more, and then maybe you draft a guy in the 1st round. That's kind of how I see the Commanders fixing their edge rusher position. But talking about the Laremy Tunsil press conference, nothing crazy. Seems like a chill dude. Said he doesn't take it personally that he got traded from the Texans. They called him and everything, so he was happy about that. Said he sees similarities between Jaden and CJ Stroud. Said that, the Texans kind of told him, all right, we're going to pay we might have to move on from you because, or we're gonna have to move on from you because we're trying to keep everyone, all the young guys together. And not that Laramy's old, especially for tackle, which people don't think about. Sorry, a little bit sick, but tackles usually have a little bit of a longer NFL career than some other positions, besides quarterback. So, he still has a lot of good years left. He talked about, how it's easier to block for a mobile quarterback. So he said he likes that. He said he's, ready to get to work. He's watched film on Jayden. Didn't really talk too much about the other offensive lineman. Wasn't, asked a lot about that. Said he'd be down to back up Jayden if needed. Would, be down to play running back, catch a pass or so. Seems like a really chill guy. Said, they were asking like if he has a chip on his shoulder, and he says, because he got traded, and he was like, I got a chip on my shoulder every year. So the trade, doesn't really change things. And you can say that, but probably, it does a little bit. And I think we'll get him motivated. Laremy Tunsil this season, and I might make a separate video about that. But he I don't know about maybe kind of hinted at a possible extension. They're asking Ben Standick, I think, asked him about it, and he was like, you know what? I'm going to keep that private between me and Adam Peters in the front office, but they know where I stand. So for me, that sounds like a guy that wants to get paid a little bit more, maybe get extended. And, that would be fine with, me. Obviously, I'm not the GM, so it doesn't matter. And then he was asked about I don't know if he was asked because I had to leave for a little bit at the end, but, he talked about the penalties, says the 19 penalties were unacceptable by him. So good that he's aware there. And hope he didn't make any excuses. So we'll see this year what happens with him if he's able to fix that issue up. I think he should be able to at least limit some of the false starts. There wasn't a lot of holding; it was mostly false starts. So fix that up, and that'll limit the penalties. He led the league, or at least offensive linemen in penalties. They also had a lot of more who had a lot of penalties. So hopefully both of those guys can fix things. But overall, I thought it was, pretty good, press conference by Laremy Tunsil. Seems like a chill guy that wants to win, guy that wants to ball out. He was talking about he wants to be that All-Pro and starts clapping. He wants to get that All-Pro nod. So, I think overall, he's excited to be here, and he's going to get to work, and he's excited to block for Jayden Daniels. Said he's a stud from what he's seen on TV, what he's heard, and what he's, the little film he's watched as well. But yeah, that is going to be it for today's video. If you did like that video, hit that like button, all that good stuff. Also, comment down below your number one remaining free agent that the Commanders should sign. For me, it's Azeez Ojulari. And there's some other guys as well. Elijah Moore wouldn't be a bad signing either to add to the receiver room. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy, and peace.